Hi everyone. Today we're going to be doing some artwork about words. And I want you to think about what a word looks like when it's just plain or what it looks like when it gets expressive. What if you write the word the way that it sounds? It suddenly becomes a lot more effective. So if you've ever looked through a comic book, you'll notice that the text is written in a lot of different ways, especially when it comes to sounds. So what I'm doing is just writing out a list of sounds right now and thinking about which one I want to do and maybe which way I can draw those sounds. So snap, splat, slurp, boom, pow, pop, thunk, grr, r, what? Those become very expressive words. So I've chosen to do the word crunch here. And I'm just kind of making these big bubble letters. I'm staggering the size of them. And you want to make sure they fit on your page. You want to make these nice and big and bold. And as a quick little art history, this is essentially called pop art. Pop art was a movement that inspired artists to make big, bold images that had to do with pop culture. And you'd hear names like Andy Warhol throughout this period, and he even made artwork by painting soup cans and things like that. But one of the big things in this movement was art that was styled in a very comic book-like way. And this is essentially the first step here. I've chosen this word. I wrote it in a very dynamic way that has a lot of movement. I've kind of enclosed it in some of these lines that look like a crunch to me. So whatever word it is that you choose, you want to kind of create a outline or a casing for it that shows us what the word means. So it's no longer just a flat word. It's got a lot of personality, it's got character, and it becomes its own piece of art because we already have an association with the sound. So now we're going to also have a visual to go along with it. So you want to use some nice bold colors. Think about colors that will go along with this. I'm painting, but you don't have to paint. You could use markers or crayons or anything else that you have. If you want to keep it black and white, that's okay. You can do that too. Maybe fill in certain areas with solid black lines and maybe leave other areas brighter. You're going to be able to add patterns and things like that. And you'll see me do that in the next couple of steps. But whatever it is that you choose to do, you want to make sure that it corresponds to your word in some way, or it gives it a little bit of contrast, okay? So I'm using colors that are complementary, if we remember what that means. I used green next to those reddish colors, and I did that because that makes one color pop out a little bit more against the other ones. If you use a warm color like red, yellow, or orange against a cool color like blue, purple, or green, then those colors will pop out. So I waited for my paint to dry, and now I'm going back over it with the marker, and I'm adding these little dots. Yes, that took kind of a long time, but it adds a lot to my picture, and it does give it a little bit more of a comic book-like effect, which is something that I wanted to do for these words. So I'm going to go ahead and just be patient and fill in the whole thing. So you don't have to do that. Of course, you can use different patterns or designs. You can thicken up your lines to make it a little bit more bold or dynamic. Those are things that you can choose to do with your own work. But I want you to have some fun with this and really, just brainstorm a bit before you get started. Write down a list of words that you think would be cool to illustrate that give you kind of a strong reaction and see what you can come up with. And I'm going to go ahead and show you here my final image, and I put in a couple of extra textures there. So I'm looking forward to see what you guys do.